learn about the FLS system, also known as the FMS Landing System in the Airbus A320? How about a little tutorial on UPRT as well? I'm glad you're with me. Let's get right into it. Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back on board Waypoints Aviation. We're back in our Airbus A320 flight simulator, good old Alpha 6 Alpha Mike November, and today we've got what I hope will be an interesting one for you. Today we're going to do a little bit of a tutorial on UPRT, which is also known as Upset Prevention and Recovery Training. Alright, UPRT. And we'll also be diving into the FLS system of the Airbus. The FLS stands for FMS Landing System, and it's basically a new thing that we're using that allows us to take a non-precision approach and kind of turn it into a pseudo-precision approach. I covered it a little bit in my last video where I was landing in Mongolia, but today I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into it on FLS and what's the difference between that and a regular RNAV approach and an ILS approach, and hopefully you'll walk away from this video with a little bit more education on the Airbus A320. All right, so guys, thank you so much for tuning in. For those of you who are not subscribed, if you liked the video, please consider hitting that thumbs up button and subscribing. And for those of you who are subscribed, thank you so much for being a part of the channel. We really appreciate you. All right guys, let's jump right into the first tutorial, which is going to be UPRT. All right guys, UPRT is something every pilot who flies a modern jet has to go through. It's part of our training. It's mandatory training, and we do need to do these in-flight simulators like this one. And basically what happens is UPRT, as I said before, it stands for Upset Prevention and Recovery Training. Alright, so what is upset prevention? And no guys, this is not gonna help you if your girlfriend is upset. It's not gonna help you prevent that, and it's not gonna help you recover from it. Deal with it, and that's about it. Alright, this has got nothing to do with what we have to face when it comes to the ladies. They're gonna be upset with us no matter what we do. So deal with it, buy some flowers. That's the only way to recover from anything you do wrong with your girlfriend or your wife. Alright? Trust me, I speak from experience. But UPRT in an Airbus is basically in case the aircraft goes into a weird angle of attack, or you find yourself in a position where it's definitely not normal and it's definitely looking like it's going to be dangerous to the aircraft. That's what UPRT is going to do for us. All right. Now UPRT basically is something that's going to help us to identify what the aircraft is doing, take control of the aircraft, and basically stabilize the aircraft once again. Now as you can see, we just took off from Abu Dhabi and we're flying along the coastline of the UAE. Dubai is coming up in the distance. The World Islands are just right down there, and you got Dubai International Airport over there, and the Northern Emirates Ras Al Khaimah Al Quwain over there in the distance as well. And it looks like we got a little bit of weather over the Arabian Sea right now. But looking at my instruments, you can see that I'm flying at 10,000 feet. I'm maintaining a nice 030 degrees of track, and the aircraft is stable. The speed is stable at 250 knots. The nose is at a very nice 2.5 degree angle, and the vertical speed is essentially 0. Nice and steady. This is what you want. And generally speaking, with the aircraft, the Airbus in general, always the fly-by-wire system, as long as it's in normal law, will always try to keep you in this kind of a stability. All right, let's just say I'm gonna take over control of the aircraft right now. So I'm gonna get the autopilot off. All right, and I'm gonna turn off the flight director on my side and on the first officer's side. Now generally speaking, when the aircraft is in normal law as it is right now, and a very quick way to tell that you're in normal law is you have auto thrust, you've got the green flags over there on both sides, and basically the auto trim is working for you, right? So let's just say in normal law, if I bring the nose up to about 10 degrees, there we go. I think I'll bring it to 10 degrees. Automatically the engines are going to throttle up, and the auto trim has already trimmed me for 10 degrees, and basically I'm off, my hands are off the stick, the aircraft is stable. All right, I'm gonna bring it back down to about 2.5 degrees as well again, and let's see what we get there. There we go. So 2.5 degrees, and the aircraft is stable once more, and everything's stable. I didn't do anything much on the side stick. All right, now even if I was to bank the aircraft 10 degrees, 20 degrees, let go, she stays. The aircraft is staying stable. All right, and even if I go up to about 30 degrees, she's still maintaining the auto trim for me. Everything's fine. Let me take it now beyond 30 degrees to about 45 degrees, and the minute I let go, there you go, the aircraft is coming back to a nice safe 33 degrees. I can give a little bit of back pressure, and the aircraft is going to be stable. So this is the normal law in the Airbus, and that's what's protecting the aircraft all the time. As I level out now using the side stick, it's working constantly in the background to keep our G load at not more than 1.5 degrees. And you know, if I was absolutely crazy and I tried to now flip the aircraft over, I'm gonna raise the nose just a little bit, and I'm gonna try and roll the aircraft over. Now you see I'm pushing fully on the side stick. The aircraft is going, but it stops me at 67 degrees. Even though I'm still pushing on the side stick, the aircraft will not let me bank beyond 67 degrees. And now when I let go, she's gonna come back to a nice safe 33 degrees as well. And I can easily pull back on the side stick and recover the aircraft. And the G load would not have been, the G load on the aircraft would never have been more than 1.5 degrees. All right, so that's how the aircraft behaves in normal law. All right, it's constantly working to keep you safe, to keep you protected, and you know, you can push on the stick as much as you want. Even if I try to pitch, for example, if I'm going to pitch up all the way, I've got full aft on the side stick, but as you can see, that little green marker there, this is going to stop me from exceeding. Look, I'm pulling back on the side stick, but it doesn't let me go beyond that marker right there, the little green marker. And the same can be for when I go nose down. You've got the fly-by-wire protection system, and as I push full down, there you go, you see the green marker right there, just at the 15 degree mark. I'm pushing fully forward on the side stick. I can't push anymore, but it will not let me exceed that. That, my friends, is the fly-by-wire. That is the normal law, and that's what's keeping the aircraft safe. I bring the aircraft back to about 2.5 degrees right now, slightly stabilizing on the trim. There we go. That's it, 2.5 degrees, and we're safe. We're good. All right, so that's basically normal law Airbus fly-by-wire system working. So you could never, even if you wanted to, you couldn't put yourself in that kind of a position. But what if you find yourself in alternate law, or what if you find yourself, and of course I have good weather today, but what if I'm in the middle of a terrible thunderstorm, very strong gusting winds, lots of thunderstorm activity, and stuff just pushing the aircraft around. Maybe you're flying over some mountains and you got some updrafts and downdrafts hitting the airplane, and it can be quite turbulent, and that could very potentially put your aircraft into an unusual attitude. All right, so now the way we want to recover from all of this is, the first thing you do is you got to identify what the aircraft is doing. All right, now when you do that, based off that, you got to decide what's the first action that you want to take. All right, so basically, if I go now to the ADRs and I turn off ADR 1 and ADR 3, all right, I'm gonna lose some information here, but I can just come over here to the air data and give myself captain, and it should bring it back to me. Hang on a second. Let me turn back that ADR2 and I'll go to captain. That works. All right. Now, essentially speaking, I've lost the ADR, so I've got to bring the thrust levers back. I've got to stabilize the thrust, and now if you look at this situation over here, what was green flags over here to stop me from exceeding 67 degrees, they're gone. Let me add a little bit of thrust just to stop the airspeed from decline. And if I bring the nose down a bit here, you see that? I do not have even the stops there, so I can now exceed 67 degrees of bank. I can also exceed 15 degrees of nose down, and if I bring the nose up, yeah, she wants to start. So let me give it some power. I do apologize, there's going to be a lot of shouting and screaming today. Look at that there. The aircraft is also risking a stall, and I can even exceed 30 degrees. Look at that. I can, if I keep pulling on the side stick, I actually exceed. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push full forward on the side stick, bring the aircraft attitude down to about 0 degrees, and then let the airspeed recover. In fact, I'm going to give it full power now. Yes, I'm aware. Now that the speed is recovering, I'm going to gently pull out of the dive to about 2.5 degrees. Keep it at 2.5 degrees nose down. There we go, vertical speed's coming back up. Speed is stable. I can now bring this back here, and we've stabilized the aircraft. We've recovered the aircraft. All right. So that's one UPRT situation. All right. So that's how you recover from a stall. The first thing you do is you get the nose down, you get it down to at least 0 degrees, and you want to see the speed start to climb again. All right. And while you do that, you got to add some power. If you see that your energy is low, you got to increase your power and get the speed going. Once you see the speed has come out of the red and amber zones, and that your vertical speed is also recovering with your attitude, then you can start to gently pull the aircraft out of the descent, level the nose at about 2.5 degrees generally speaking, and then bring the power back to whatever power setting it is that you need the speed to be. And that's how you recover from a stall. All right. Now let's go ahead and let's say we want to put the aircraft into an unusual veer attitude. For example, I'm going to now raise the nose. Gonna keep raising the nose. The stall's gonna go on, and now let's just say we find ourselves in this position right here. All right, because the aircraft there's no fly-by-wire. All right, in fact, I'm gonna pause the sim very quickly just for the sake of training. Thank God I can do this in a simulator, not in real life, because look outside. Now, looking at this indication over here, what do you see? The first thing is you got to scan your instruments. What do you see? You can see that we're definitely in the brown section. There's no trace of blue anywhere. And from the look of it, we are nose down about 35 degrees nose down. Well, almost 40 degrees, I would say. We're at 10,800 feet, and we're dropping at 1,400 feet per minute. Not a good sign. All right, actually I think it's more than that. I think it's definitely more than that. Anyways, but nonetheless, yeah, we're definitely over 6,000, maybe 10 or 11,000 feet per minute. That's what we're dropping at right now. This is a very bad place to be, guys. All right, now given that you are nose down, all right, the instinct would be when you're nose down, you need to pull back, right, and then recover the aircraft. Recover the nose back up onto the horizon. That's generally what you should do. But if you scan the instruments, look at that there as well. We're not just nose down. We're nose down, and we're banking to the right about 69, 70 degrees. All right, we are not like this. We are like this. All right, heading down towards the ground. So let me show you what's going to happen now if I try to pull back on the side stick. All right, here we are. Look what happens. If I pull, nothing happens. We're not, stand by. We're not recovering our pitch. Let me pause. pause it again. You see, pulling back on the side stick, we were not recovering our pitch because we're at that angle. As we pull back on the elevators, it's just making us go sideways in the same pitch. So we cannot recover our pitch using just pulling back on the side stick. What we're gonna have to do is, so as I was saying, you see, we're nose down. Pulling back on the stick is not helping us recover the pitch. What we need to do is we need to go left and gain power and then climb. You see that? Let me cancel this. So the first thing I had to do was level the wings, make sure the arrows were leveled. Then I started to recover the pitch, because as long as we're in that weird angle of attack, pulling back on the joystick just made us pull the nose in the same angle. It didn't help us recover our pitch. So I hope that helps you understand that just because you see brown or just because you see white, you know, or blue rather, sorry, you're not going to recover the aircraft. You have to immediately identify what the aircraft is doing, what's the current pitch, then immediately identify what the roll is and fix that. All right, otherwise you'll just keep pulling back on the stick thinking you're just pointing the nose down and you'll never recover from it. So guys, keep an eye on that. Always keep an eye. Let me try this one more time. All right, I'm gonna dive the aeroplane down. We're going to be nose down, and I'm going to put us into about a left-hand turn of about 60 degrees. Now you see, pulling back on the stick does not recover the pitch. It doesn't. But rolling the aircraft out of the turn and then pull in, that recovers the pitch. All right, so I hope you understand. This is what UPRT is all about, guys. Sometimes they give you a weird situation, like they're going to put you here with full power and then they're going to do that to you. The instructor will just place you in something like this, and then he's going to leave it and say, okay, fine, recover now from whatever the aircraft is doing. Recover. So immediately I'm going to see what the aircraft is doing. I'm going to immediately level the wings first. I've got enough airspeed. I am now going to pull back on the side stick and bring that nose back up again. Maintain a little bit of power just to stabilize the aircraft, and once I have the attitude where I want it, which is about 2.5 to 5 degrees, I can now start thinking about stabilizing the aircraft, set the power to where I want it, and the aircraft is now stable. My hands are off, the aircraft is stable. So that, guys, that is UPRT. That's what it's all about. It's just about recovering from an upset, from what could be a stall, a very severe nose up angle, a very severe nose down angle, a very severe bank, and all that kind of stuff, guys. So let your training kick back in. You will definitely be trained about this stuff in flight school. So let your training kick in and always analyze. Don't just pull. I'm afraid that's what happened to the people in Air France 447. They the first officer, I believe, he was just so completely disoriented. He just kept doing the wrong thing on the stick the whole time, and unfortunately they never got to walk away from that incident, and we lost some valuable people. So don't just pull, don't just do things. This is all about what UPRT is. Identify the problem. Look at your screen. It will only take you a couple of seconds to realize that you are in a bank or you're straight and level. All the information's right there in front of you. All right, if you don't have this, you've got the standby. Don't have the standby, the first officer should have something on his side. Look at your instruments, identify what's going on, and then recover. If you're in a bank, level your wings first and then start to recover the pitch. All right, that's how we're going to, that's basically UPRT. That's how we do it, guys. And I hope you found it useful, and I hope you learned something from it. Now it's time to jump on to the other part of our tutorial today, which is FLS. All right, FMS Landing System. So I'll get back to you guys. Let me just restore all the systems in the aircraft, and I'm going to get back to you very quickly with the FLS tutorial. See you soon. Alright guys, so now we're going to do an FLS tutorial. So as I said earlier, FLS basically stands for FMS Landing System, and in very layman's terms, what it's supposed to do is it's basically I'm just going to change my heading to about 320 degrees for now. Alright, 320 and checked. Alright, so in the approaches, alright, you've got the arrivals, the various kind of arrivals. You got ILSs, you have RNAVs, and then you've got your if the airport is equipped with VORs, you have VOR and all that kind of stuff. Now the beauty of the FLS system is it will take any of the non-precision approaches, RNAVs, VORs, whatever, alright, and it will turn it into a pseudo ILS. It'll basically simplify it to the point that you feel like you're doing an ILS approach. All right, so let me show you what I mean. Let me come over here. We're gonna go to Dubai, arrival. We're gonna pick the ILS for runway 12 right. We're gonna go no stars. All right, and that's going to give us that right over there. All right, so let's insert that. There we go, there's our runway, there's our final approach fix over there, and now we're going to turn on the landing screen as well. And if we just look at our weather really quickly, we're looking at winds are variable at 4 knots, QNH of 1014 with a temperature of 31. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to bring up our charts very quickly. And here it is. I'm going to bring up the approach for Dubai, runway 12 right. All right, here we go. There we are. We're making our way out, and the approach basically starts at 3,000 feet, which we're gonna do now. We're gonna take us down to 3,000 feet, and we're just gonna fly a downwind track of 300. There we go, 300. Come on, give me 300. And basically get out there until we can turn. So here we are, we're making our way out, and you can see that the minimums are 211 for the decision height. All right, so we come back over here, we're doing the hat, RNAV, progress, Oscar Mike Delta Bravo, 12 right, and we're gonna put it in there. And then I'll come over to the performance, and QNH is 1014 today. The temperature today is 31 degrees. And the winds are variable at 4 knots, so 0/4 I'm going to put there. There you go. And our decision height, 211. All right. So what I'm going to show you now is what the aircraft does when you are in an ILS approach. And let's just say I'm going to keep the auto brakes off for this approach, because I'm pretty much going to do some kind of a touch and go kind of thingy, just for the sake of demonstration. All right. So you want to come down at 3,000 feet, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the speed brake just to help me slow down and get down a little bit faster. And once I hit 3,000 feet, I'm gonna turn the aircraft in and take us in for the ILS. But when you press when you push the landing, the ILS button over here, it basically displays the localizer and the glide slope. All right, if I turn it off, you see those flags are not there and the ILS information is not there. So pushing that button there, I now know that what ILS I'm tuned into. It's the 109.5, and it's India Delta Bravo Echo. And if I look over here, there you go, it matches. All right, so here comes my glide slope, and the localizer will come in when we turn in as well. So now that I've got enough altitude, I think I'm good. I'm gonna go ahead and give myself flaps 1. I'm gonna start storing the speed brake. And now that I'm below the glide slope, it's easy for me now to essentially just push the direct to button. I want to intercept from Delta Bravo 657. So I'm gonna go there, Delta Bravo 657. It creates the intercept for me, and I'm gonna hit insert. And now we go into nav mode. We're at alt for 3,000, and the aircraft is turning. I'm well below the VFE for flaps 2, so I'm gonna go ahead now and give myself flaps 2. All right, flaps 2 is coming. And now that the aircraft is turning towards the final approach, when we're within about 30 degrees of the intercept path, we can arm the localizer and the glide slope. which is going to come very, very quickly. Now I'm actually going to keep our speed at 160 knots until we get close to the approach. Alright, so now we're pretty much within about the turn. We're almost getting there. So what I can do now is I'm going to go ahead and push the approach button and the second autopilot, and then we get Cat 3 Dual Autopilot 1+2, and you have glide slope in blue and localizer in blue, which means they're armed. They're now waiting until we are in the intercept range, and it's gonna capture the localizer. You will see lock star, which means it's captured the localizer, which is the frequency of the ILS that's beaming out from the runway. It's gonna happen in just a few seconds, guys. Oh look, downtown Dubai. Alright, I digress, sorry. As we turn in, there we go. The localizer is alive as it comes in. And you've seen me do this 100 times in this channel, so I'm also gonna go gear down. And there we go, lock star, glide slope star. Alright, flaps 3 is coming out as well. So now that we're in the process, the star means we're in the process of capturing the localizer. We're also in the process of capturing the glide slope. Now the glide slope star is gone and it just became glide slope, which means now we're established on the glide slope. Alright, I'm also going to do a flap 3 landing today. I need to come here, choose flaps 3 and that as well. Yep, all good. So now we're captured on the localizer. We're established now on the localizer and the glide slope. What was blue became green with a star to show us that it's capturing it, and once it was captured, it's now green. And I can set the go around altitude, which is 4,000 in Dubai, and then manage the speed, and basically now complete the checklist, which the landing checklist, which will be ECAM memo landing no blue, which is going to come at about 2,000 feet right over there. But as you can see, an ILS, where when you program it in, it's going to capture the localizer, capture the glide slope. All right. Now, in the event that you're flying to an airport that does not have an ILS, you would have to either do an RNAV or a VOR approach. All right. And this is where FLS comes in now. Usually, before I had the FLS feature installed onto this aircraft, I had to basically do the F approach method, which is basically I choose the RNAV approach from here, and then I hit the approach button, and then the aircraft would basically try to follow that path. And that's basically using GPS satellite coordinates, which is the same thing, but it didn't really give me too much of information here. It just showed me a path there, and it was basically, you know, it also had a lot of work load on the pilots, because we had to constantly cross-check our altitudes and distances and make sure our GPS monitor was doing okay, all that kind of stuff. But now with the FLS system, it's using the GPS information, the satellite information, to create an artificial ILS, which makes it so much more easier, because just at a glance I'll be able to tell you if I'm on the lateral profile or the vertical profile correctly, just like I was following an ILS. Alright, so I'm going to do that right now. What I'm going to do is add minimums. I'm going to initiate a go around, and I'm going to go back out there, and I'm going to program in a FLS approach. Alright, so let's just let this guy come down to minimums. As you can see, it's doing a wonderful job. It's lining us up with the runway. And guys, keep this in mind, the FLS will not do an auto land. Alright, it will not do an auto land. You will have to take over landing the aircraft, because the aircraft, from what I understand, it will not go into the flare mode, and it will not try to land. Now the aircraft is in land mode. All right, we got this land mode, but I don't think we're going to see that in the FLS. We're going to experiment with that anyway and find out. All right.
200.
All right, and here comes the minimums.
Minimum.
All right, going around Toga.
100.
Okay, man, Toga SRS go around track. Going one flap up for the go around, positive rate, landing gears going up, and we're climbing away. And we've got F speed. I can give us now flaps 1, and the aircraft will start to recover. I'm going to stop the climb at about 3,000 feet. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go pull on the heading, and I'm going to turn us back outbound towards the final approach fix. So we're going to take us to the right, heading 300. Alright, there's lever climb, so now I can bring the pilot thrust levers back to climb. Thrust climb, open climb, auto thrust right, 3000 blue, and here we go. That's it. So now we've got everything pretty much set up from the ILS, and we've done the go around, and now we're going to go out there and we're going to try for an FLS approach. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just give me a second. I'm going to take us out there, and I'm going to program in the FLS, and then we're going to come back in and I'm going to show you the differences. Alright, see you guys soon. Alrighty, we are at 3,000 feet on a heading of 300, and we're basically just outbound again, back out over the Arabian Sea. If you look at the iPad, that's where we are right now. We just did a go around from here, and we're making our way out. So I've brought up the chart 12-1 effective the 3rd of November. It's an RNP RNAV approach for runway 12 right. Nope, no, 12 left. Hi, so sorry. There we go, 12 right, RNP for 12 right. And as you can see, there's no ILS frequency for this. The final approach is 119 degrees with a mandatory altitude of 3,000 feet by Delta Bravo 658. And for the minimums, we're looking at a category Charlie 439. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to program this into the box. Alright, so we come back down over here, and we're going to come to the flight plan page. We're going to go to Dubai at the bottom. Arrival. Now previously we had selected the ILS for 12 right. I'm going to scroll and find the RNAV for 12 right. No stars. Alright, and I'm going to insert it. Now as you can see, we have PED off and we have Delta Bravo 658. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sequence this flight plan now by going to the direct to page. I'm going to pick up PED off, which is right over there. And I'm going to extend the center line actually from PED off, and 299 is the opposite of that runway. That's the radial in, and insert, and I'm going to pull the head in, and there you go. Right from PED off we have a nice center line extended out towards from the runway, so that I know my reference now exactly. Alright, now this is an RNAV approach, guys. So if you come to the RATNAV page, you'll see there is no ILS frequency in there. Alright, and also there's nothing. I've turned off the ILS thingy here, and even if I do turn on the ILS, it says 1095, but that's nothing to be for us to be regarded in, because this it's not giving you any more information. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come over to the RATNAV page, the progress page, ONDV12, right? GPS primary high, we've got the required, and we've got what we have now, which is perfect. Alright, we come to performance, we go to next phase. The weather parameters stay the same, but in this case the minimums are going to be 439. So 439, put that in there, and there we go, 439 on the approach. Alright, so now that PED off is behind us and we're at 3,000 feet, we can go ahead and come over here. I'm going to activate the approach phase so the aircraft will slow down to our green dot speed. And now as you can see, we have FMS approach capability on the aircraft. Alright, and what's going to happen now, this comes when I activate the approach phase in the MCDU. Now if I bring up the ILS page, look at that. We don't have a frequency, but we have runway 12 right. It knows exactly how far away we are from there. It also has a little magenta line, which is the runway track, and it says FLS right over here. And look, we've got not single but double diamonds on our, like we got two lines of diamonds, all right, or a double line diamond, whatever you want to call it, on the localizer and glide slope. So now let's head over to PED off. So how do we do that? Direct to, choose PED off, it will create the intercept, and now we're going to go ahead and hit insert. The aircraft is now going to nav, and we're gonna turn and we're gonna head back towards Pedov. We're about 19 miles away from the approach, and yeah, that's basically it. Now, for the sake of tutorial, I'm gonna reduce the barrel to just 200 because I want to go down to 200. All right, and then I'm gonna abort at 200. So 200, there we go, on the barrel. And here comes the localizer. As you can see, it's coming in. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna hit the approach button, and that's FGS and F-lock. And there we go. The aircraft just started to intercept the FMS or the FLS localizer. All right, see that? F-lock star, and it's now in the process of now lining us up with the runway. Instead of trying to fly all that way and then join up with Pedov, it's going to go ahead and it's going to put us right on this track. And it also tells you it's going to be a 2.8 degree descent. So as you can see, the aircraft's coming in now very nicely. We're turning back towards the city. And if all goes well, this aircraft now, this localizer, it should bring this pseudo localizer into the middle and follow it just as it would an ILS. Coming back to the RNAV page, I can confirm there is no ILS frequency tuned in there. I have not tuned it on the RMP as well. It's all done using FMS data and satellite information, which is pretty cool. So there we go. See that? Now it's going to line it up with the FMS localizer, the FLS localizer. There we go. F-lock, and we're leveling out nicely, and we're heading straight for the runway. And if you look at that, we're 15 miles, so we can now start configuring the aircraft. So I'm going to go with flaps 1, and also guys, for the sake of go around, I'm also doing a config 3 landing today as well, and config 3 is set up over there as well. So all things are set up. So now we're on the localizer. This is an RNAV approach, guys. This could also be a VOR approach, it could be a GNSS, it could be whatever. It's a non-precision approach. But look at that, I've got the precision from satellite, and it's as if I'm flying a regular ILS. This is also for those of you who are actual Airbus A320 pilots, and you want to practice. The good thing about this FLS system is, if you are in an airport that does not have an ILS and you want to practice a raw data ILS, this will create that non-precision approach into a pseudo ILS, which means you will have the bugs, which means you will be able to do a non-precision approach. So how cool is that, huh? You will actually be able to do you will actually be able to do a raw data ILS, pseudo ILS, even if the airport doesn't have an ILS. That's one of the beauties of having this system, guys. And now, as you can see, the pseudo glide slope is coming in, the FLS glide slope is coming in. Once that is 1 bar above, I should actually be at flaps 2 by now. It's 1 bar above, waiting for the flaps to go to 2. There we go, flaps are now at 2, and I'm gonna go gear down, flaps 3, on the speed brakes, and the lights can come on as well. And there we go. FGS, FLS GS is star. It's now in the process of capturing this descent, and it's now starting its descent. Look at that, it's not maintaining 3000. FGS, it's now following the artificial glide slope that it has created. And the only difference is, if this was an ILS, I would, because the ILS is capable of touching down on the runway. The FLS system, this is still a non-precision approach, so you're not going to be able to do an auto land, guys. Keep that in mind, all right? So in an ILS, I would push the approach button and push both autopilots on, so you'd see both of these two lit up, and it'd say AP1+2. Now, if I try to push the other one, it just changes over to autopilot 2, and you see, or AP2. It doesn't combo the two autopilots together. It doesn't link them because it's not meant to be a precision approach down that'll help you do an automated landing. All right, and the go around altitude will be 4,000. So now that we're on the FGS, just like I do any ILS, I'm gonna set the go around altitude, and we're set, guys. Flaps are set, everything's good. When this hits 2,000 feet, we're gonna get the ECAM memo, and I can go ahead and do the landing checklist and basically essentially land the aircraft. So what I want us to monitor here is what's going to happen at 500 feet. Are we going to get land, or are we just going to see the same thing over and over again? Let's see. That's why I reduced the minimums from 439 to 200. Was it 439? Yep, 439 to 200, because I want to go down to 200 and see what happens. Now looking at the progress, as you can see, we're maintaining within 2 feet, which is actually super accurate. Just off our deviation, we're barely budging, and our GPS accuracy is high. We want 0.3, 0.03. We want 0.3, and we have 0.03, even better. So everything's looking good, and even visually, the runway's right there in front of me where it should be, and I'm pretty much relaxed over here. I'm fully configured for landing. And this is what should have been an ILS. This is what should have been a non-precision approach, but we're treating it like it's a precision approach. And again, guys, for those of you pilots who are preparing for a an airline assessment, and you want to do a raw data approach, scale approach. This will let you turn any approach into a raw data approach, because it will give you a localizer and glide slope, which is what you need to do the raw data approach. So yeah, there's 1,000 feet, landing no blue, all good, fully configured, speed stable, altitude stable. We're right on our profile where we should be, right on that glide slope. And as we're coming down, as you can see, the runway is getting closer, everything's looking good. I love Airbus. It's such a nice aeroplane to fly. Here we go. You can see that the FLS glide slope has dipped a bit, so the aircraft is descending and trying to get its way down there. We're at 500 feet now, and look, there's been no change. The aircraft did not change and go into a land mode. It didn't do anything, which means this is not going to do an auto land for us, guys. It might touch down, but it's not gonna flare. It's not gonna do anything. An ILS would. All right.
100 above.
Now we're 100 above our minimums. You can see there's no land. There's nothing. All right. Let's wait for minimums.
Minimum.
Minimums. Toga.
100.
Okay, man. Toga SRS, go around track. We're coming back up, and we're go around. Positive rate. Gear up. 1 flat notch up for go around. And we're going back up, guys, and we're going to basically just stabilize and come back around and land. I've got F speed, so I can basically, actually I'm going to wait until I get to thrust reduction acceleration altitude. It's going to be around 1,500 feet. There we go, 1,500. Thrust climb, open climb, auto thrust wide, F speed, so we can go flaps 1 now. And that, guys, is how you do an FLS approach. All right, the same thing's gonna work for a VOR. It's gonna work for an ILS where the glide slope has failed. So you know, certain approaches where you have to do a localizer only. So if you have to do a localizer only approach for the ILS and the glide slope had failed, this FLS system will combine the two. It will use the standard localizer, but it will also use the pseudo glide slope to help you with your descent profile. How cool is that? You know, so that's the whole purpose of this, to make non-precision approaches better and easier and more precise, and less workload on the pilot and less taxing for the pilots as well. All right. Alright guys, so I hope you found that useful. Hope you found it educational. For those of you who are not subscribed, please consider subscribing, and please hit that thumbs up button, give us a like, and share this with your friends if you think it's going to be useful to them as well. If you got any questions on anything I've taught you today, feel free to let me know in the comments below. We reply to every single comment, that's a promise. And for those of you who are interested, you can join our members section, and the members section will allow you to even have one-on-one tutorials with us, either via Zoom or via any form of media that you choose to do so. And also our members are allowed would be allowed to request a specific video, and we will do it for you guys. It'll help the channel, it'll help keep us going, support the channel, and it's just, you know, increasing the community and just making things better. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for watching. Looking forward to hearing back from you in the comments below. And yeah, I'll see you again in the next one. In the meantime, God bless every single one of you. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. Hi, do you live in Dubai, or are you in the United Arab Emirates? Are you an aviation enthusiast? Do you play flight simulator on your computer at home? Would you like to have the ultimate experience of flying an Airbus A320 in a real cockpit environment? Or are you a real-world pilot and you're looking to practice for an upcoming airline assessment? Or do you just want to master the Airbus aircraft? Are you a pilot looking to level up your knowledge and experience in instruments and navigation? Or maybe you're thinking of becoming a pilot in the future, but you're not yet sure if this is the path for you. Well, whatever your requirements may be, we're here for you. Book a session in our Airbus A320 flight simulator and come experience flying with a real-world pilot by your side as your instructor, guiding you along every step of the way. All ages are invited. Just scan the QR code or contact us via the details below for more information. See you guys in the cockpit soon.